Thomas Paine, Thomas Paine, Thomas Paine, Sam Adams, Sam Adams, Sam Adams, Benjamin Franklin, Benjamin Franklin, Benjamin Franklin. These men spoke up for what they thought was right. From their courage came such documents as the Declaration of Independence and the Constitution of the United States. From their willingness to speak what was sometimes unpopular but right, we enjoy such liberties as freedom of speech, the right to keep and bear arms, and freedom of religion. There are those who still wish to oppress our freedoms, and there are still patriots willing to stand up and defend life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. Men like Zeb Bell, who honor our founding fathers and what they stood for. It's now time for Zeb at the ranch, speaking up and defending your freedoms. Brought to you by Magic Valley Les Schwab Tire Centers and all of the other great advertisers on the program. And now, Zeb Bell.
A man was just waking up from anesthesia after surgery, and his wife was sitting by his side. His eyes fluttered open, and he said, "You're beautiful." Then he fell asleep again. His wife had never heard him say that, so she stayed by his side. A few minutes later, his eyes fluttered open, and he said, "You're cute." The wife was disappointed because instead of beautiful, it was now cute. She said, "What happened to beautiful?" And the man looked at her and replied, "The drugs are wearing off." Good morning, everybody. Here comes Kate Smith, and God bless America, followed by a real-life patriot with our Pledge of Allegiance. Good morning, good morning. And a good morning to you and yours. Going to be another hot day out there today. We'll talk more about that in just a minute. But right now, Zeb at the Ranch, I'm Zeb Bell with our major sponsor, your Magic Valley Les Schwab Tire Centers. All 7 locations serving you with the best of safe driving tires. And don't forget, too, some of our great advertisers like Burley Physical Therapy and Rehabilitation at 1263 Bennett Avenue, Suite 2 in Burley, helping you get back to being you. And don't forget, too, tomorrow they're going to have an open house over there at Greystone Crossing Independent Senior Living at 1221 21st Street in Hayburn. Seniors living the good life with friends. Right now, let's go to the phone line and have our Pledge of Allegiance. Good morning.
Good morning, sir. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Always a great job. Doug, thank you so much. Talk to you in a little bit. And there you have our pledge from a real patriot. Thank you. And right now we're going to have the weather forecast brought to you by K&R Rental at 256 South, 600 West of Hayburn, right there on the Burley-Paul Highway. You can't miss them. They've got all the excavators, and they got all the air compressors, and they've got everything for you to finish various jobs and construction projects. All the long-term and short-term rental on equipment. If you're not sure what you need, call them. Talk to them. Roger and the crew at 678-3122. K&R Rental. And right now, here's Gina with the weather.
We're expecting another warm day for today, but the winds are going to be picking up, cooling us down. Here's a look at your weather forecast. Sunny skies for most of the day today. We're looking at a high of 94. Tonight, partly cloudy skies with a low of 81. For tomorrow, the winds are going to be picking up, partly sunny skies, gusts as high as 25-plus miles an hour, but temperatures are going to be dropping to about 81. For tomorrow night, mostly cloudy skies with a high of 50. Then for Friday, looks like sunny skies in mid-80s. That's the latest weather forecast for Zeb at the Ranch.
She always does a great job. Thank you, Gina. Appreciate it. Brought to everybody by K&R Rental. Hello, Roger at 256 South, 600 West of Hayburn. Can't miss them on the Burley-Paul Highway. Number to call, remember this, 678-3122. K&R Rental. Thank you. Wow. Kind of an interesting program today. Kind of an interesting program? Yeah, it will be. We've got some real diversification here. We're going to be talking to Dave Bego back in Indianapolis, Indiana. And then at 9:30, we're going to be talking one of the finest, best horse sales anywhere in the United States, and that's the Zollinger Quarter Horse Ranch sale, and with Jerry Zollinger. And then we're going to have the Idaho Fish and Game Report at 10:06. So we've got a lot of different type things this morning right here on Zeb at the Ranch. Caller, I'll be right there. Stand by. Don't forget Ramsey Heating and Electric at 2600 Overland Avenue in Burley. Good morning, Ramsey's. How are you? You know, over 6 decades, nearly 7 decades of serving you with the best of heating, cooling, and electrical needs. All you need to do is stop in and see them at 2600 Overland Avenue in Burley, or give them a call at 678-0459. Open 7:30 to 5 Monday through Friday. Ramsey Heating and Electric. Caller, good morning, and thank you for your call.
Thank you for taking my call. You know, Zeb, every circus has to have a clown, and that's where Joe Biden fits in great. And all these other ones, the candidates in there, the people who are running for the same office, will keep feeding him junk, and he'll keep telling them about all the junk he's telling you about. And he's telling stories that he don't even, I don't know who writes this, but they say he's going to have a teleprompter, and don't you vary one bit off of that, Joe, because you're going to go off the rails.
Yeah. And I guess there's no polite way to say this, Keith, and caller number 2, stand by, I'll be right there. I don't believe there's a polite way to say this other than just telling the blunt, honest truth. Joe Biden is a liar. There, I said it. Joe Biden is a liar. He's lied about so many things in his past. Some people say, well, he gets a misconstruction of really what the facts are. Well, that's not true. I'm just telling you, Joe Biden is a liar. He has done certain things in his past and said certain things in his past that you can't construe it as any other word, a 4-letter word, liar. That's what I'm going to say, and I'm going to stand to it.
Well, you know, this word of gaff, is that a substitute for lies?
No, he has a penchant for saying and doing and reliving accounts that maybe he's a little slipshod on some of the memory. But some of his stories about, well, we were shot at in Afghanistan and our helicopter almost crashed and all that. You know, he has a penchant for not only exaggeration, but outright blatant lies.
Well, he is living in a different world. You know, you and I like to reminisce back to the good old days, you know, when we were young and sharp and everything. And that's where he thinks he is right now. But he isn't. He's an old man. Let's call it what it is.
Yeah, let's call it what it is. I agree with you, but let's not also leave him hanging on the branch by himself as the only monkey on that branch. Put Bernie Sanders in there also. Bernie Sanders has no business running for the presidency at his age. I mean, we're both these guys, we're talking about their first term in office. Let's just be very crude and very honest and upfront. They might not live through the first term because of age relevancy to what the job is going to demand. I don't think that it's smart at all to think about Bernie Sanders or Joe Biden.
You know, the funny thing of it is, if the thing was held today, you know, with the Democratic nominee and Trump, he would just cut them to ribbons.
Now, wait a minute. When you say he, who are you talking about? Be more explanatory.
Whoever he may be or she may be.
Well, the point is, Keith, and this is where the fictitious polls come in. I was reading quite a few polls earlier this morning, and I'm totally taken aback as to how the liberalness has invaded and infiltrated poll taking, because they said that Joe Biden, listen to this, is ahead 50 to 38%, 50 to 38% over Donald Trump. Are you kidding me? Are you telling me this morning that these polls are saying that Joe Biden, who can't do anything on the campaign trail because he's not awake enough or alert enough or has enough physical stamina, he's ahead of Trump 50 to 38? Give me a break.
The polls can say what they want, but if they tell the truth at his rallies, he maybe has 100 people where Trump has thousands.
Well, look at the empty seats. I'm not making this up. Sure, I don't like the Democrats. Sure, I don't like the liberals. But look at the backgrounds on some of the tapes, and they'll try to get the best camera footage they can and the best camera angles. But he's got empty seats. He's got empty areas where he gives his speeches and his rallies. Biden is not drawing the people. Let's call it like it is.
You know, there's one thing I don't understand, though, is when Trump is at his very best and everything, he will point to the crooked news media, but they will never turn their cameras toward them so we can see who they are.
I agree. Keith, I always appreciate hearing from you in the morning. Thank you very much for your time. God bless. Oh, by the way, Keith, don't hang up yet, because I want you to go over to your roommate and give her a great big happy birthday kiss. Happy birthday to Nancy today.
Well, thank you.
There you are, lady, the sugar cookie queen of Magic Valley. Have a great day.
Well, thank you.
Thank you very much.
All right. God bless you. Thank you. Hey, don't forget, tomorrow's the day. Yes, sirree, Bobby. We're going to be over at Denny's Restaurant, 611 North Overland and Burley for our Zeb's Lunch Bunch. And I hope you're there. I hope you load your car up with friends, neighbors, relatives, whatever. Come on down to Denny's Restaurant, 611 North Overland and Burley, America's Diner. We start at 11:30, and we would love to have you there. We got a lot of door prizes to give away from Walmart, Smith's Foods, Hanson Mortuary, Stokes Groceries, Doug Martin, Denny's. We really appreciate it. Have a good time and great food at Denny's Restaurant, America's Diner. We'll see you tomorrow at 11:30. Calls are welcome and appreciated. 436-2244, 1-866-927-4587. You know, when you have livestock, or when you get a little puppy dog or a little kitty cat, and you're so happy, well, right then and there, you need to make some realizations that animals get sick. Animals get hurt. And you need to know who to call if that's the case, where you can always treat your animals, your pets, your livestock, first class with the best of health for them. That's why I urge you to contact Ark Animal Hospital at 750 21st Street near Connection Credit Union in Auburn, and the number is 678-1177. I'll say it again, 678-1177. They are the best at what they do in serving you and your livestock. Don't forget, warm hearts for cold noses, Ark Animal Hospital, 678-1177. Caller, good morning. You're on the air. Go ahead, please.
Good morning. The menu at the Burley Senior Center today is birthday anniversary dinner, which means we're going to have turkey dressing, mashed taters and gravy, green beans, cranberry sauce, and we'll have a salad and yummy dessert. Probably a zucchini cake.
Oh, my.
Some yesterday, and it was delicious.
All right. Now, I'm going to ask you a question that inquiring minds want to know, Joe Taylor. Do you really like cranberry sauce?
I have to have it with turkey, yes.
Okay. All right, Joe, eat your cranberry sauce and then have that yummy dessert. We'll talk to you. And if they want to take a takeout dinner, can they get one tomorrow?
Oh, young or old, it's only $5, and you call before 12, and they'll have it ready for you. We serve from 12 to 1 o'clock. We want everybody to be there.
Okay. Thank you much, Joe Taylor. God bless you, man. Thanks.
Thank you. Appreciate all you do for
All right. Thank you. You know, I've got to tell you, I was listening this morning at 4 a.m. when the alarm went off. I know. You're sitting there. You get out of bed at 4 a.m.? Yes, I do. And I start listening to the news back in New York and Washington, D.C., and then an hour later at 5 o'clock after we're done exercising and have breakfast and everything, I start calling D.C. and getting little news tips, etc. But 3 buzzwords. Think about this. The 3 buzzwords that have been and are being used by the Democratic Party right now. And it started right after Trump was elected, and now they have reached the escalation of 3 buzzwords that all start with R. I was not aware of this until a commentator made this point earlier this morning, and it's very well stated. The number 1 buzzword that was accepted by the media after Trump was elected was Russia, Russia, Russia. Every network, every loon that was sitting there behind a desk, Russia. Oh, my goodness, the collusion and everything. Russia, Russia. Then, did you notice, honestly, how the next R word has come into play, and Russia is fading in the background a little bit, and then it turned to racism. Donald Trump's a racist. Anybody that is a part of the Trump administration or supports the administration or is a voter for Trump is a racist. Racist. You hear? Think about that. It's really true. And now, today, we have our 3rd word class of the R designation. And any guesses out there in Radio Land as to what that R word is? Oh, a hand goes up in the back of the class. Go ahead. Recession. That's right, recession. They are absolutely hell-bent on destroying this presidency with an array of words and thoughts and concepts to just absolutely hurt the potential and possible, and I hope, re-election of Donald Trump. Russia, racism, and recession. Crazyville. Absolute Crazyville on behalf of the Democrats. Caller, stand by. I'll be right there. I want to I got to tell you about our friends at Dino Septic Service real quick. Man, they do the job that you and I don't want to do. Do you want to be standing outside on 93, 94, 95 degree days pumping a septic tank? Oh, no. I'm telling you what, and liquid waste removal or the sewer and sink drain lines cleaning, oh my goodness, they do a wonderful job. They've recently expanded their business to better serve more people, and they are so efficient, so friendly, and fast and fair. You get a hold of them today. Dino's Septic Service, 436-6526 or 678-1638 with that big truck that says smells cargo on the way. Call them. Get a hold of them. They're great. Dino's Septic Service. Caller, good morning. You're on the air.
Yes, good morning, Zeb. The Democratic Party has turned into a terrorist organization.
Hold on a second, Tony. I've got to have wheels turn you up a little bit. You're too low, or I need you to speak up or something. I'm not getting you. And now I get a little feedback. But go ahead, Tony, please.
How about now? I change rooms.
All right.
The Democratic Party has turned into a terrorist organization now, and the weapon they're using, I mean, it's just so common. It's divide and conquer. And Schumer and Pelosi could have put a stop to this a long time ago. And right now, what I see is going to happen is at some point, Schumer and Pelosi won't be able to find a hole big enough to hide in.
I'm not so sure. You know, Tony, you and I have talked on the radio a long time. The status of what's going on in this country with the wanting by 43% of Americans supposedly to go to a socialistic type country, and the uneducated masses of stupidity that want to take apart our Constitution and rewrite it, change it, alter it, throw some of it away, and the way that they want to have complete control over everybody's lives. You know, Tony, I'm not a very optimistic person this morning that the American public, I don't know if they got their head caught in a vice or something, what happened, but they're not real smart in general.
Well, a lot of people haven't experienced living under socialism and communism, and they'd like to see a trial case of it where it would put into action in this country. But they don't realize once you get it into a country, you're not going to get rid of it.
There you go. I do not know. Deanne, could you turn that down one notch over there? It's a little noisy, that fan, if you would, please. I do think that, like you said, if we approach socialism to any degree, look out. If there's an acceptance factor by the general public to try socialism, we're all in a real heap of trouble, man, because this country will never, ever be the same, never achieve the same, never attain the same as it did for the past over 200 years.
Well, for people like Mary and ourselves, where we're pushing 90, we're not going to live around long enough to see that happen. But this younger generation, if they decide they're going to push it in, they're going to be just like Venezuela, Hong Kong, and the rest of these countries.
Well, and that's the appeal. That's the appeal, Tony, from the left and the liberals and the George Soroses of the world, is to create and stimulate havoc and absolute mayhem with the younger generation, that they can disrupt and tear apart all the good things of this, the greatest country on the face of the earth. And it's up to people like you and I, even though we're a little long in the tooth and gray on the head, we've got to stand up and say enough is enough. And to be honest with you, and people really cringe when I say this, but it might involve almost a civil confrontation in this country to restore and keep the values of the United States.
That's why Trump is against gun confiscation, because if we are disarmed, this bunch in those training camps will be out in the streets with their AK-47s.
I agree.
No defense for ourselves.
I totally agree. I think that we're naive if we don't think that we're at that stage. I mean, when you look at Antifa over in Portland, and then you look at far-right groups that were clashing, this thing's going to escalate. It's not just going to be Portland. It's going to be San Francisco, L.A., Chicago, Jacksonville, Florida, New York. It's going to happen all across this country. And this country had better be prepared for a lot of insurrection.
Oh, I agree with you 100% as always.
All right, my dear friend. Say hello to Mary. God bless you. Thank you so much. Appreciate it. We'll take some more calls in a minute, but right now I want to tell you that, you know, I've been around horses all my life. And there's good horses, there's good ranches, and there's good managers. Well, I want to talk to you about a ranch that has been established for a long, long time, and that's the Zollinger Quarter Horse Ranch up at Oakley. I've known the Zollingers ever since I moved here, way back a long time ago, and believe me, they have been breeding quality quarter horses for over 70 years, and they've got the best of bloodlines of Playgun, Pepta Boonsmall, Bodie Boonsmall, Leo, Shining Spark, Pocotivio, you name it, and they're going to have their big horse sale this year, September 7th, coming up in a matter of a few weeks at the Zollinger Ranch up in Oakley. I want you to realize these are excellent horses for sale. Excellent horses for sale. I'm looking at the catalog right now, and let me tell you, I'm going to try to be there to bid on a couple of these. These are outstanding. Zollinger Quarter Horse Ranch, and it's their 31st annual production sale, and it's going to be at the ranch up in Oakley at 1994 South, 100 East of Oakley. Don't miss it on September 7th. Also, don't forget, every Monday we give away a dozen cookies to Sophie's Chatterbox, and I urge you to try to be the winner. We've had a lot of happy campers that win those cookies. Of course, Sophie's Chatterbox with the best of a bakery, the best of a restaurant, right there on the square in Rupert at 530 East Street. Excellent, excellent eating. You stop in and enjoy those good folks today. Caller, good morning. You're on the air. Hello, caller. Talk to me.
Good morning, Zeb.
Yes.
You know, with that Antifa that we've got running around here, all that is today is the Democrats' new KKK. The only difference is they've changed their uniform.
Oh, I can't argue with you at all. As a matter of fact, I was reading a story about what took place up in Portland, and I don't know if you saw this story or not. It was in the paper, Sunday's paper, and also another copy of it on Tuesday of this week, and authorities were praising Antifa for holding back their temper and their ire against a right-wing group called the Proud Boys of America. And this whole story was about denigrating what they call right rallies. Well, it wasn't the far-right rally that started any trouble. It wasn't the far-right people in this rally that were breaking windshields and windows on buses or going after people with baseball bats. It was the Antifa punks and thugs. That's who caused the trouble.
That is true. And you realize that's only 500 miles away from here. 10-hour drive.
Well, that's my point, George. I mean, it's going to happen in any and every city across America. We are being buffaloed into accepting these garbage people like Antifa, and they are garbage people. They wear black masks, black clothing, and they're thugs and punks that want to hurt people and stop and stifle anything that's going on in the local community. I have no use for these punks.
Yep, and I really believe that anybody that supports them ought to be put up on charges inciting riots, what have you. All of this is bringing down our country, and it's supported by the Democrats, the leftists.
You know, and George, why do people, maybe friends of yours or anyone, why do they remain so naive in thinking that it can't happen here?
Yeah, it's for years, Zeb. If it don't personally affect you, you really don't care.
That's exactly the problem. I agree with you. My dear friend, take care, and we'll look forward to having you on the program next week. Thank you so much.
You bet. Thank you.
All right, take care. There's a good guy right there, George Mass. Thank you very much. Yeah, this article was, listen to this headline. Authorities praised for handling of protests in Portland. And during this article, which was written by the Associated Press, a person by the name of Jillian Flockus, all they did was kind of praise Antifa and run down anybody on the right. And the whole article was so biased, I could not believe it. But when, in essence, the videos that were taken show that Antifa came along with baseball bats and billy clubs and anything else they could carry, hammers, and they were trying to break windows on buses and windows on businesses and everything. But yet the far-right group, this group called the Proud Boys of America, they were blamed for the excess. Are you kidding me? Calls are welcome, 436-2244, 1-866-927-4587. I want to talk to you about something that, to me, and I need your help out there, please, all of you, pay attention. This has got to be one of the dumbest, one of the wackiest, one of the weirdest things, when you really stop and think about it, that I've ever heard going on in this United States. And I'll tell you what it is in just a moment. Don't forget our friends at Berry Equipment and Rental. Oh, boy, when you need equipment for all the big jobs of lifting and digging and pushing and carrying and grading and leveling, you want equipment that's going to get the job done. Well, they've got it. They've got all the Bobcats. They've got all the excavators. They've got all the Doosan wheel loaders. They've got it all. Yes, they do. At 3 locations, 159 West Highway 30 in Burley, 465 Addison Avenue West in Twin, and the Nampa location. And great financing programs, great leasing programs at Berry Equipment and Rental. I urge you to get a hold of them today. The best serving you, Berry Equipment and Rental. Quick note before I go to this next story, my old friend Joe Bennett with Bennett Boys Auction Service. Listen to anybody out there in the audience. This is really important because I have some model trains. I haven't put them together for like 30, 40 years, but I've got all those fancy little box cars and the loading of the box cars and everything else. Well, here's what's going to happen. The Bennett Boys Auction Service is going to have the Roger Paulson auction this Saturday at 11 o'clock over in Fairfield, Idaho at 348 Winona Drive. Now, look for the signs up in Fairfield. You can't miss it. Now, they're going to have a 70-year collection of electric trains and all the accessories. I've got the pictures here, and it's amazing what this man has put together, along with packing equipment, shop equipment, all kinds of equipment. But wow, if you're a train enthusiast, this is the sale for you to go to this coming Saturday, August 24th in Fairfield at 348 Winona Drive, and the sale's managed by the great Bennett Boys Auction Service. No sale too big, no sale too small. The Bennett Boys, they sell them all. Absolutely. All right, here's my dilemma. The environmental kooks, and wait till I'm done throwing this at you before you call me. The environmental kooks, and they are kooks and crazies, they are demanding a cleanup of the planet and basically the exiting of mankind. They don't want this. They don't want that. They want this stopped, and they want mankind to fade off into a non-existence. They don't want any plastic bottles. They don't want any plastic straws. They don't want any plastic forks or spoons. They don't want any fossil fuels, of which Idaho Power jumped on that silly bandwagon with them. And they want to stop farming and agriculture. They want to stop animal agriculture. They want to stop everything for the planet's safety and the longevity of what they say, a dying planet. Well, then, I've got a question for you right there. If they want to stop all these things and items, no more of this, no more of that, then why don't they, the environmentalists, drive into San Francisco today, or Oakland, or any other major city, and why don't they demand that people stop defecating and urinating on public sidewalks? And the trash problem is absolutely astronomical. The disease problems caused by what these people are doing is sky high off the charts, much of which is going through the city sewage system and the gutters, going into the rivers and out into the ocean to pollute the ocean. Why aren't these people demanding that? Typhoid and all kinds of problems are creating a major headache in San Francisco right now as we speak. The rat problem is absolutely astronomical. I talked to a guy that was there, and he said, you can't believe the smell. You can't believe how dangerous it is. You can't believe you can't walk anywhere. You can't even enjoy the sights of a once beautiful city. But where are the environmentalists when they're yelling and screaming, "Oh my goodness, Zeb, you've got a plastic straw. You've got to go to jail for 30 years." And they let all these homeless people defecate on the streets that goes into the sewer, into the rivers, and possibly just absolutely polluting beyond any sort of pollution that we can even imagine. The rivers and the ocean? These people are loons. These people are absolutely crazy. And I just don't understand how you can say condemning and damning of mankind. We've got to get rid of them, and you can't have this, and you can't have anything to do with your air conditioning, etc. And they'll let people do what they're doing in various towns, and it's absolutely filthy and dangerous. And the idiocy of this whole thing is, folks, and I use that word even though that one lady might call me and chastise me for saying they're idiots. Well, they are idiots. The idiocy of this whole situation is at the San Francisco airport. They went with great big wheeled carts to vending machines, and they took all the bottled water in plastic bottles out of the vending machines and return them to the local distributors. Caller, stand by. But, at the same time, you can go to those vending machines and buy soda pop in a plastic bottle. What? Caller, good morning. You're on the air.
Good morning again. You know, the one thing that really bothers me is the death penalty. Some states don't even have it, but the states that do, this is how I think it should be. If you kill someone, you should have to pay with your life.
What's that got to do? What's that got to do with what we're talking about right now in San Francisco and other places?
Well, it's life itself. People don't worry about these things because things like the death penalty don't mean anything to them.
Well, I don't want you to jump rails here, Keith. I don't want you to jump train tracks. That's a stretch to go to the death penalty from what I'm talking about, defecation on public sidewalks and the health hazards and everything. I can see where you could tie it together like a loose shoelace someplace, but right now I'm staying with what I'm talking about as far as how dumb are we to accept one thing and then allow this other.
Well, you are one of these, I'll call them bums, that are on the sidewalk of San Francisco or Los Angeles or whatever, and you try to pick them up and drag them out of there like you were going to feed them and everything, and they'll put you in jail. They will literally put you in jail for even touching one of these people.
Okay, but my point is, Keith, the insanity of environmentalism and these kooks and crazies that say mankind is killing the world. How can they say that when we're pumping literally into the rivers and oceans out of San Francisco this human filth that absolutely is a major pollutant causing major diseases, typhus and everything else? How can they say, well, you, Keith, caught him. You've got a plastic spoon. Why, you're going to jail for 30 years, but yet at the same time they pump all this human waste and allow this human waste to gather up in piles on city streets.
Why do they allow someone like Newsom? He's the governor of California. They elected him.
No, I can't imagine.
Like the filth and stuff.
I honestly cannot imagine how the people in California have gone this low in the education chart. I mean, they must be scraping the bottom of the barrel to put somebody like Newsom in as a governor that is absolutely worthless. Keith, I've got another call and then I've got to do the weather. Thank you so much. I appreciate it. Thank you. Caller, I am going to ask your patience for about 60 seconds. I've got to get this weather on, and then I'll come right back to you. Stand by. Don't go away, please. Weather forecast brought to you this hour by Mount Harrison Audiology and Hearing Aids. And let me tell you, their treatment recommendations are always something that they really care about, individualized for you. Absolutely. Trust your hearing health to Mount Harrison Audiology, and they're right behind the Minidoka Hospital across from the emergency room, and they have a location in Twin Falls also. Number to call for a hearing screening, 312-0957. That number again, 312-0957. Right now, here's Gina with the weather.
We're expecting another warm day for today, but the winds are going to be picking up, cooling us down. Here's a look at your weather forecast. Sunny skies for most of the day today. We're looking at a high of 94. Tonight, partly cloudy skies with a low of 81. For tomorrow, the winds are going to be picking up, partly sunny skies, just as high as 25-plus miles an hour, but temperatures are going to be dropping to about 81. For tomorrow night, mostly cloudy skies with a high of 50. Then for Friday, looks like sunny skies in mid-80s. That's the latest weather forecast for Zebeth Rain.
Oh, great job, Gina, and thank you. Please take the time to talk to these people today for an appointment at Mount Harrison Audiology and Hearing Aids. Let me tell you that if you're noticing any diminishment in your hearing, I urge you to call the number for a hearing screening, 312-0957, the best serving you at Mount Harrison Audiology and Hearing Aids. Caller, you have been so patient. Thank you very much.
You know, when it comes to Gavin Newsom, over 50% of California is Hispanic. You wonder if there's, voter fraud. I mean, he's as white as white gets. He's as privileged as privileged gets. It's joke, it's a joke. But as far as environmentalism and how stupid it is, and getting rid of plastic cups or whatever, you know how they want to get rid of plastic straws? Well, there was a lady that thought she was really doing her part, as if it would have mattered at all. Well, she had a steel straw, and she fell on it, and it went through her eye into her brain.
Yes. Yep.
And I said, you people are so... I tell you what, Deb, when people are so, however you want to describe them, stupid, uninformed, willfully ignorant, but you see, they're around us, Deb. They drive around us. They interact with our families and our children. And I guarantee you, they're in the state house of this state right now.
Yeah, well, whoa. Just a minute, Randy. I got to interrupt you right there. I've got to interrupt you because we've got a question I want to insert for you. We supposedly live in a free society. Now, companies have put forth a great effort to process and manufacture goods and services for you and I to use, whether it's forks and spoons or whether it's plastic bottles or whether it's a straw. It doesn't make any difference. In a free society, we're being dictated to that if we touch one of those, use one of those, we possibly could be put up for arrest. And at the same time, they allow this defecation and urination, which is a contaminant to the entire society, and it goes into the water, into the oceans as a pollutant. Where's the sanity here, Randy?
These people are so full of it that they're such hypocrites that there is no word. Hypocrite doesn't describe them. But you see, here we have a state that's broke. California, Oregon is heading that way. Washington is suffering dearly. And they have to go in there and clean up these whole areas of the city, and it's money they don't even have, and it's created a new industry. It's toxic, okay? It's toxic waste, and they have to dress up and cover themselves up and go in there with trucks and high pressure washers because it sticks to the concrete.
Well, let me tell you, and when I heard this the other day, I could not believe it. Now listen, I'm not trying to spoil someone's breakfast, but I'm being honest. There is an app, an app in San Francisco that they want people to hit the app and take pictures. They call it the app crap. And they're taking pictures of where the piles of human feces are so they can send trucks over with these people dressed up in moon garb and clean it up. I mean, this is America. This is so disgusting, and we're going to pay attention to some 80-year-old woman trying to suck a soda with a straw? A plastic straw? Are you kidding me?
We're so screwed up. You say to yourself, it's just these kind of people are sucking us down the toilet with them. And if they got their way, again, the economy would be destroyed, the ability to feed the world and America would be destroyed, and we would all be, it would be hell on earth.
It is. It is now, Randy. It's already creating a hell on earth because of the idiocy, the incompetency, and the going along with these people. I have maintained on my program for a long time. You want to use a plastic straw? Use a plastic straw. Defy them. Fight them. Do everything you can to fight back because we still supposedly live in a free society, and I'm not going to conform with a bunch of idiots.
Well, I'll tell you what, Dave Beater, he's the mayor of Boise, fancies himself as an enlightened liberal, but he knows better than to let the homeless problem grow. Because if it got started, it will blow up big time.
Absolutely.
And you know as well as I do, I think there's enough people in Boise that even if they are liberal, they would go into the voting booth and vote that whatever the hell he is out. You know, see, we just do whatever we think we have to do to get reelected. And I guess he thought that he was, whatever.
Well, your point right there, wait a minute, your point right there is very well taken. Because politicians, that's their main goal, is to stay in office and retain their office. And once they're in that office, they will do anything they can to kind of be wishy-washy and willow in the wind to make sure that they don't choose any sides, make sure that they get everybody to go, boy, he's a great guy, let's put him back in office. And I myself think that is absolutely horrendous.
They're so gutless that they do not have a stand, because if they do, they're afraid that it might reflect negatively on them, so they avoid it.
Absolutely.
And they get away with it. And the people of Idaho are so forgiving and forgetting. They forgive and forget. And again, we hear nothing. We don't hear any support for Trump from anybody from Idaho, especially Simpson. We don't hear any kind of retribution against the squad from Simpson, Crapo, Risch, at least Simpson. And you say to yourself, he's got nothing to lose. He'll be in there until he drops dead.
Well, I'll tell you what, I'm not going to bow to his throne by any means. You know that. We've had an ongoing battle for about almost 5 years now. Randy, I've got to run. I've got to pay some bills. Thank you for your call.
Come on your program.
He will never call. He will never call.
He isn't going to.
All right, thank you.
Controversial. It'll slither away. Bye.
Thanks, Randy. I appreciate it. Want to remind you the Magic Valley Stampede is coming up at the Twin Falls County Fair and Rodeo. Whoa, let me tell you a little bit about what's going on over there. The Magic Valley Stampede is one of the top 60 professional rodeos in the country right now, and part of the famous Professional Rodeo Cowboys Association Pro Tour Series. You're going to be seeing the best of the best right there at Filer at the Twin Falls County Fair and Rodeo. August 29th, 30th, and 31st. Tickets are available. Better get them now. www.twinfallscountyfair.com. Don't forget, the best of the rodeo world will be at the Magic Valley Stampede, and that's going to be August 29th, 30th, and 31st. On behalf of the Twin Falls County Fair and Rodeo, don't you miss it. Want to also remind you, too, about our major sponsor. I'm almost out of time here already. Holy smokes, things really were going fast. I want to remind you about our Magic Valley Les Schwab Tire Centers. Woo! Oh, yeah, they've got all the tires for your safe driving. They've got all the tread design, all the sizes, everything for you and your driving safety. And good people. I mean, I can't stress enough, at every location, people that really care, people that really know, and people that really serve you. Stop in and check out all your tire buys. Don't forget, too, the best in brake service, front end alignment, shocks and struts and batteries. All of this and so much more with all 7 locations of your Magic Valley Les Schwab Tire Centers. Lane and Rupert, Dave on Blue Lakes and Twin, Mike and Buell, Mike and Jerome, the Twist family in Paul, Daniel on Poline in Twin Falls, and Trent on Overland in Burley. The best, you better believe it, your Magic Valley Les Schwab Tire Centers. Oh, by the way, real quick note, I've got to run to the news, but I wanted to tell you this. If you wanted to call Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez in her office back east, you can't. You can't, because they aren't taking any... they're not taking any calls. They don't have anybody answering the phone. You just get a tape that says, "Hello, this is Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez. Leave a message." Oh, what a great way to serve the public and her constituents, right? A taped message. Hello. Oh, the dim Democrats. It's getting worse every day. Right now, we're going to send it over to Wheels and get ready for the news from CBS. I'll be back in 7. We may have a little problem here. I just tried to down a great big slice of fresh zucchini bread from my lovely bride that is baking. And occasionally, if you might hear me, and I hate to sound crude, but if I start to burp, I'm going to turn off the microphone. Oh, my goodness sakes, it was delicious. Zeb at the Ranch. I'm sorry, folks, that's just real life. Zeb at the Ranch brought to you by our major sponsor, your Magic Valley Les Schwab Tire Centers, all 7 locations, serving you with the best of safe driving tires, along with some of our great advertisers, including Burley Physical Therapy and Rehabilitation at 1263 Bennett Avenue, Suite 2 in Burley, helping you get back to being you. And also, our thanks to Greystone Crossing Independent Senior Living at 1221 21st Street in Hayburn. Seniors living the good life with friends. Right now, this good word for Western Waste.
From the canyons of the Snake River and all across southern Idaho, we're always at your disposal. Western Waste Services, we care about our community, our resources, and this great land. Western Waste Services is lending a hand, always at your disposal. Western Waste Services.
Oh, Western Waste Services, always at your disposal. I urge you to get on the route service. You say you're new to the area, you don't know what to do. It's so simple. All you have to do is call the office at 734-6969 and tell them, hey, we live here, we'd love to have our garbage picked up. They'll be there. They are always at your disposal. 734-6969, Western Waste Services. Call them today. Now, earlier this morning, you heard me talking, about Great Quarter Horse Sale. And I don't mess around with stuff on my radio program. I believe in the advertisers. I believe in the sponsors. I believe in what they're trying to promote to you, the public. And I believe in the Zollinger Quarter Horse Ranch having the best quality quarter horses for over 70 years. That's it. Not brag. That's a fact. And they've got some of the absolute best bloodlines of the quarter horse world. They've got 40 lots that are going to be on sale this year. September 7th is the big, big day up at the Zollinger Quarter Horse Ranch in Oakley. I'm urging you to come on up and join with me and be there and watch some of the best horses go through the ring for quality and disposition. It's all there at Zollinger Quarter Horse Ranch Sale. It's September 7th at the ranch in Oakley. Don't miss it. Real quick, too, I want to remind everybody about our dear friends at Hanson Mortuary. Hello, Joel Heward and the family and the staff, everyone there helping you and your family and always providing the families they serve the best possible support and comfort, and always upholding the highest ethical standards with unquestioned integrity. Please write this number down and call when you need help. 436-5636. That number again for Hanson Mortuary at 710 6th Street in Rupert. 436-5636. And Joel Heward also serving you and your family at Morrison Payne Funeral Home on East Main in Burley. It's Wednesday. And I called this great friend earlier this morning and visited with him a little bit. He's back in Indianapolis, Indiana, and looking forward to the football season, I'm sure, with the Colts, even though his number one quarterback can't practice because of various and assorted injuries. Good morning, Dave Vigo.
Good morning, Zeb. Yeah, I'm concerned about the Colts right now and watching them, and of course they're 0-2 in preseason, but we'll see. Hopefully our quarterback gets healthy and healed, and we'll move forward.
What is the matter with Andrew Luck? You know, this guy came out of college, and I'll tell you what, he is a great quarterback. He's got a great arm, a lot of common sense, but he seems to be, like you hear the slogan or the phrase, injury prone. It seems like if it's not an ankle, it's a shoulder. If not that, it's a rib. What's going on with this guy?
I just think he's a little fragile, Zeb, and he just doesn't, take the hits very well, and he's not very good at avoiding them either, and I think that's the other problem.
I agree. But like you said, he is, whether you like it or not, he is the key to your success for the Indianapolis Colts for this year.
That's exactly right, and we got to have him in there, and we'll see what they do. Hopefully they get things together and he gets better and we have a good year.
Okay. Dave, earlier this morning, about 4 o'clock this morning, I was listening to the news and taking notes and writing down things for my program. A very interesting little story came across, and I'd like to relate it to you. The Democrats, ever since Trump was elected, have used certain buzzwords, certain key buzzwords that are very dominant in the news media. And I'm going to give you the 3 words, and I want you to discuss them. When Trump was first elected, and it lasted up until through basically the hearings, the key buzzword was Russia, Russia. And then they tried to turn it down a little bit after the Mueller report, and they went to another buzzword that was an R word, and they really played up racism. Racism on CNN, MSNBC, everybody was saying, oh, he's a racist, etc. Now they've replaced it with another R word, and they're really pushing this and trying to promote it, recession. I mean, the buzzwords. Your comments, please.
Well, this is typical of what the left does, Zeb. You know, as I've told you many times before, I've been through this type of stuff, and they keep throwing things out there that to attack you with, and in hopes that one of them will bring you down. And he's going to continue to get these things as we move closer to the 2020 election. And Russia wasn't used against me, but racism was. I mean, a lot, and then they moved towards a lot of other things. And, recession with him is, that the economy's going down. People need to be concerned. They don't want him in there because it could harm their income and their lifestyle and all that. And, they didn't call me a recession, but they used other words saying that, I was going to hurt people, income and all that kind of stuff, and I give them opportunity. And this is just their tactics, Zeb. And the American people need to wake up to the left. The left doesn't know how to operate in a free market society.
Absolutely.
All they know how to do is a socialist communist society where they have control.
Absolutely. But what does it tell you? You're a very well-educated man, a very successful businessman, and I'm very honored to have you on my program every week. But what does it tell you about a large percentage of the American public when they will buy into this kind of idiocy? They will buy into these buzzwords. They will buy into, like Bill Maher on HBO saying that he would much rather have a recession where people are hurt financially than keep Donald Trump for another 4 years. What is the matter with these people?
These people, unfortunately, their ideology is on the left too, and then a lot of people, they just don't have they get brainwashed easily, and they really don't take the time to step back and investigate this stuff and research it to see just how wrong the left is on this kind of thing. And that's the sad thing about it. And of course, with millennials and people that come up through the education system over the last 40, 50 years who have been brainwashed by liberals who believe in all this stuff, because, that was one of their tactics, is to fill our school systems and our colleges with liberals who would brainwash our kids and put them on this side that, our society isn't good. We need to be a socialist, communist type of society.
Can you, again, Dave, you and I have talked about everything political for many years on this program, but can you buy into the fact that 43%, those are the numbers that are out there, 43% of the American public wants to go to a socialist country? And can you buy into the fact that they're saying large numbers over and above that 43% will vote for anyone on the Democratic ticket over and above President Trump? What in the world is the matter with these people in this country, to the point where our economy is booming, the travel industry is absolutely soaring out of sight with a lot of money exchanging hands? We're seeing, I think, very calm situations across the United States and, for that matter, the world. What's going on that I don't see?
It's very simple. It all goes back to this brainwashing. They throw out there, free college and education. We're going to erase your debt, and we're going to give you this, and we're going to give you that. And they know that a lot of people just sit back and go, "Oh, wow, that sounds great. I think that's the way it ought to be." And these people, unless you sit down in front of these people and expose to them that this doesn't work, and the facts, they don't dig into it themselves. And then, plus, again, a lot of them have been told over the last 40 or 50 years as they go through school, this is what it should be like, and you should get free of this. It shouldn't cost you anything to go to college, and, this is what it's all about. And these people just, when people start telling them you're going to get free everything, they're on board.
Yeah, absolutely. I agree with you. As you look, and pardon me, if you study the people that are left on board for the possible nomination to become the Democratic nod for president, from Joe Biden on down, Cory Booker, Kamala Harris, Elizabeth Warren. Oh, she scares me. She's as flighty as a goose.
Wild.
Oh, my goodness. But, look at Joe Biden. Let's just look at Joe Biden. Look at pictures, if you will, of Joe Biden in the newspaper or magazines a year ago, and compare them to where he is physically right now. And I'm telling you, tell me I'm wrong if you want to, but Joe Biden is slipping not only in mental status, but he's slipping and becoming much more frail. I'm very concerned. I don't think the man's in good health.
Yeah, he doesn't appear to be. He seems to have his set of problems, and he really, even was with Obama. He was just there as basically a statue for Obama. He really didn't do very much, and he doesn't know what he's doing and what he's talking about. And you add that on top of his physical and mental condition. I hear a lot of people saying he's not going to make it. one of the other candidates like Elizabeth Warren is going to win the Democratic nomination.
Now, that being said, stop the bus for a minute, open the door, take a big breath of fresh air. Holy cow. Can you imagine a United States of America led by Mother Goose, Elizabeth Warren?
Yeah, I mean, it's amazing. I mean, she is just she just is kind of out of bounds on everything, and she just is running it all the time and everything. And it's just like she just can't stop chattering and going over different things and coming up with something new. And you need somebody that can sit down and research things themselves and think about them and move through them, and not just mentally let them flash through your mind, and that's what happens with her.
Absolutely. I want to throw this at you, and I'm always a little hesitant to talk about this story because it's very distasteful. Okay? The environmental, I talked about this in my first hour of the program this morning. The environmental crazies are saying no more plastic straws, no more plastic bottles, no more plastic forks or spoons or anything like that. We've got to save the environment. No more fossil fuels. Stop farming. No more animal ag. And these same stupid people that are part of the environmental movement that are absolutely doing everything they can to damn mankind, they don't do one single thing to stop the horrific pollution and spread of disease with defecation and urination on the streets of San Francisco that is going into the sewer systems, into the rivers, and out into the ocean. This is lunacy.
Oh, it is, and it's not just in San Francisco. It's in Los Angeles and other cities out there, but it's also, when you really step back and look at it, at the major cities in this country run by the Democratic Party. I mean, look at all they've talked about in Baltimore, and and the same things that happen in New York and Chicago and that. And this is because basically the Democrats controlling these people in these cities are, they want them to be in a socialist type of setting, and that's what these socialist type of settings look like. But then they want to say, no, we need to get rid of this stuff. And that eliminates jobs and everything else, an opportunity for people to step up and move forward and persevere and do the right things in life.
I was talking to a friend of mine back east in Washington, D.C. that works with Fox News, and they have done some documentaries on the absolute filth that's happening in San Francisco and what's happening on the streets with the extreme rat problem, what's happening on the street now with typhus. Police officers are asking to be transferred to other cities because they're so afraid about not only their health but contracting something and taking it home to their family and their children. And I guess my question to you is, Dave, what's going to be done? Nothing is being done by the leaders of these cities, and the problem is exacerbated bigger and bigger, more percentage-wise every day. What's going to happen here?
Well, these cities are going to continue to crumble, and in California in general, more and more businesses are moving out of those cities because they're not happy with the governments out there and what they're doing, and the fact that it's hard to run a business and remain profitable and move forward and create jobs and all that kind of stuff. And as we see more and more of this, we're just going to see a state that's going to crumble and cities that are going to crumble.
Yeah, but with the crumbling of those cities and the demise of humanity and civilization and the pollution factor, the disease factor, I mean, they're talking about typhoid and all kinds of various diseases. They're talking about with the rat problem, I mean, the rabies problem is now really huge and severe towards human beings. Something's got to happen here soon because it's not only going to stay in California. You're going to have people going and moving and allowing to infect others and other people in the country, and this is going to be a major problem.
Well, it is, and but you look back at it, Zeb, and you look at socialistic countries now like Venezuela and Cuba and other places, and you look how these people are and the conditions they live in and the health problems they have there, and you talk about pollution. Go to some of these cities and look at that stuff.
Yeah.
And this is what they want, because at the end of the day, Zeb, they don't care about the people. And that's the American people need to wake up to that. They don't care about the people. It's all about themselves and control.
I agree with you. Okay, now I've got a little bit lighter subject to ask you about here, because inquiring minds want to know. I heard from a good friend of mine yesterday in New York that alerted me that this is going to happen, and then it was solidified and verified last night. Why are the Democrats going to hold fundraisers for their party, the Democratic Party, in Mexico?
Because, and there was an article about that yesterday, because they found that they can raise more money down there. And, of course, you know what they're saying down there, too, as they get into these places, and then they're talking to them. We're going to make sure that we allow Mexico to do this, and the trade tariffs are going to go down, and we're going to let people immigrate and all that kind of stuff. So they've got people down there, and probably people that aren't very good people, that are donating to their cause.
Well, it boggles my mind to think that we are in the position we're in right now, leading up to the 2020 elections, where none, absolutely none, nada of the Democrats are worthy of tying the shoes of Donald Trump. But yet they come out with these fictitious polls and they say, well, every one of the Democrats, including Kamala Harris and Joe Biden and Cory Booker and Elizabeth Warren and also wild-haired Bernie, why, every one of them are ahead of Donald Trump right now. I can't buy this.
Oh, no, I can't either. It's crazy stuff. And, their polls, you don't know where their polls were done at and by who and how many people had to do it and all that kind of stuff. And it's stuff that I don't even pay attention to, Zeb, because you can't, again, it's just part of their tactics.
But I know you just said you can't pay attention to it, but are you concerned, even though you're knowledgeable and understand what's going on, are you concerned about the unknowledgeable or the uncaring or the naive portion of our society that might buy this hook, line, and sinker?
Well, I am. And, as we move forward in this, the Republican Party and Trump have to really get out in front of the people and expose this stuff to them and do it in a professional, nice way, and and not just to the Republican Party, but to other people too. And they're going to have to get out and start doing that.
If you were the Trump campaign manager, and you've had these very successful rallies in North Carolina, South Carolina, Florida, wherever, what would you do different or add to make sure that you get across the point that you just talked about?
I think I would try and have some, while I'm in those areas, I would try and have some, rallies or some get-togethers where, you invite and get people in from the other side and get in front of them, explain what's going on. And, those are just things you have to do. And, of course, the other thing is when we get into the election campaign and you have debates, Trump's really going to have to expose that stuff. And he's going to have to do it in a professional manner. And he's got to tone down the rhetoric. I still think he does too much, and I think it just provides bullets for them to shoot him with.
I agree with you, but I will say that regardless of who the Democrat is, I'm relishing the point that if I have something else planned on those evenings of the debate, it's going to get canceled, because I cannot wait to see the debate between whether it's the wild one, Elizabeth Warren, or Bernie, or whomever. I think it's going to be fantastic.
Well, I think so, too, and I think he'll do a good job, and he'll put them in a position where they're going to struggle to answer and be able to debate him.
I should have said earlier in the program when you started about your quarterback, Andrew Luck, with the Colts, and Wheels, we got a little feedback on the line. My quarterback hasn't played yet either, and that's Aaron Rodgers. Mr. Prima Donna might not play so much. I understand he's got a back problem.
Yeah, it's sad what's going on, I'll tell you. It just seems like, and I don't know if there's something going on in the NFL where players aren't getting themselves physically fit and that as well.
Wheels, turn up this, Mr. Beagle. Wheels, you've got to ride that gain. I can't hear a word that Mr. Beagle is saying. Turn him up when he's talking, please. Go ahead. Say that again, Dave.
I said, I don't know what's going on in the NFL. I don't know if people are, as fit as they used to be, and they're going through the process of making sure they're ready to play and all that. I don't know. It just seems like we have more of the injury problems today than we used to, and maybe it's just a change too, and how aggressive they're going after each other.
That could be. Dave Vigo, I always look forward to having you on the program every Wednesday. Thank you very much, my dear friend, back in Indianapolis, Indiana. Enjoy, and we'll talk to you next Wednesday. Thank you so much.
Well, thanks, and have a great week.
All right, buddy. Thank you much. Calls welcome, 436-2244. We're going to have our next guest on the air in just a few moments. I want to remind you, too, about our friends at Burley Physical Therapy and Rehabilitation. They are located at 1263 Bennett Avenue, Suite 2 in Burley. And I'm telling you, they can help you with all your aching and paining and your recuperating from surgeries or an accident. They have the best of physical therapists. That's not brag. That's a fact. And believe me, headed up by Nick Greenwell, they know exactly how to help you get back to being you. And also, with the only one of its kind in this area, the hydrotherapy pool, that is really helpful. Please call for an appointment today, 678-1191. Burley Physical Therapy and Rehabilitation at 1263 Bennett Avenue, Suite 2 in Burley. You call them today. Want to remind you, too, about our friends over at Lee's Furniture, Floors, and More. Oh, yeah, I know. You're saying, Zeb, it's summertime. Everybody's outside. Well, that's true up to a point, but you got to remember that now is the time to prepare for those chillier fall days leading into winter and be ready with the comfortization and beautification of your home. Well, Lee's Furniture, Floors, and More. They've got it all for you. All the luxury vinyl plank flooring, and all the great carpet buys, and of course all the furniture, but you can't forget about a good night's sleep. They've got all the mattresses and bedroom sets. Oh my goodness, you'd better don't walk, run into Lee's Furniture, Floors, and More at 459 Overland in Burley. Great people serving you, and don't forget to check out the great recliners too. What a selection at Lee's Furniture, Floors, and More in Burley. Real quick, one more note. I want to remind you about our friends over to Let's Ride. Excuse me. Let's Ride, 270 Highway 24 between Rupert and the World. And here's the deal. The 2020 models are coming in. And that means they want to wheel and deal on moving the 2019s out of there and into your garage. Woo, save money. 270 Highway 24 between Rupert and the World. Let's Ride, open Monday through Friday, 9 to 6, Saturdays 9 to 4. The best of watercrafts and side-by-sides and four-wheelers and all the accessories, and a fantastic service department too. Don't forget, stop over and see them today. Let's Ride, 270 Highway 24 between Rupert and the World, and it's true, it's where the fun is sold. Okay, I've been waiting for this interview for a couple of days now because it's an interview with a dear, dear friend of mine. Known him, well, let's just say for a long, long time, and he represents, I think, one of the finest quarter horse sales with one of the fine families in the horse business. Jerry Zollinger, how are you this morning?
Doing good. How are you, Zeb?
Not too bad. I got to tell you that every year I look forward to having you come on the program and talking about your great big sale. This year, I believe it's going to be, the 31st annual production sale?
A long time. Yeah, it's been 31 plus years of selling horses, but you just look forward to seeing me here to get me nervous all day. That's what it is.
No, not at all. And by the way, I want to thank you for going that extra mile to bring me that catalog on your sale and dropping it off last night. You know, let me ask you this, Jerry, and let's be really honest. The horse business, they've been going through some tough times over the last, let's say, decade, where it's been hard to really raise good horses and sell good horses. What's the status right now? What are you looking at?
The future looks good for me. I mean, I'm assuming everybody else too. But we have went through some slumps. Kind of tough to hold one horse in one yard and take care of it. But I think the society's starting to come back and wanting to go for a trail rider, wanting to go compete in something, go rodeo or go rope, whatever, you know, and that makes a big difference when people get involved with the horse market or horse deal.
Absolutely, and the economy, the way it's been the last couple of years, looks like it's strong and bolstered with a lot of success. A lot of people are out doing things they haven't done for a long time. Your sale's coming up on September 7th up at the ranch. Now, what's the difference between this sale and previous sales?
The difference between this sale, Zeb, is it's just another set of colts. It seems like they get better and better every year. At least I look at that, look at them that way. But not much different. Just a nice set of 2019 colts, and there's a couple mares in the sale, and that's kind of the gist of it. They're just, I don't know, they just seem to get a little more color, a little more definition to them, and I don't know. It's the crappy time of the year for me because I hate to let them go. I get attached to them.
Well,
personalities all summer.
Well, the thing is, Jerry, as you look down the list, I mean, you guys up there at the ranch have done an outstanding job of breeding quality quarter horses. And if anybody knows anything about the quarter horse business, you've got names of sires like Play Gun, Pepto Boonsmall, Bodie Boonsmall, Leo, Shining Spark, Poco Tivio. Woo! I mean, that's a who's who of what's ever been good in the horse world.
Zeb, I spend every day of the year looking for another old stud, if that makes any sense, because that old blood is gone. It is harder than heck to find, and I was very fortunate, and my family's very fortunate. My dad was kind of a horse guru, and he studied that, and he just always thought if he had a son of something, that was what was going to keep him going, and it sure has. I mean, he owns a son of Play Gun and a Pepto Boonsmall stud, and Hollywood done it. Old Poco Tivio horse, old Blackburn horse, Leo horse. I think I've collected more stud horses than he has. I think I'm up to 9 now.
Well, Jerry, what happened, though, that some of the old bloodlines were allowed to diminish? I mean, why didn't somebody see the handwriting on the wall and say, hey, wait a minute, we better stop this?
Well, what I see growing up, everybody went through fads, and we still go through the fads, whether we're changing clothes and wearing bell-bottom pants or whatever, but the horse industry done the same thing. Everybody got hooked on metallic cat or a certain bloodline and bred, and now you got, and I'm not dishing on the metallic cat horse. He was a good horse, but everybody went to that fad and kind of forgot that old school, and horses don't last forever.
Right.
You can get 30 years out of a good one, and they just kind of forgot to keep breeding that old bloodline, and so I've been kind of coming back and doubling up on a few Leo horses, trying to keep that blood as strong as I can, and it is hard. I look every day for new outcrosses there, and there is none.
Jerry, what about your horses, your production sale this year? Every year we talk about bloodlines. Every year we talk about quality. Every year we talk about disposition. Are these horses any different? I mean, you've always had top-notch using horses that people can use as a family.
There you go. You hit it right on the head right there. That's been our main goal for as long as I can ever remember of even stepping on a horse, was to have that ultimate horse that you can go calf rope on, team rope on, pleasure ride, cut, do whatever, and be consistent and competitive in it in every aspect of what you do with them. And that's what we still strive for, is to make that good old family horse that the sister can go win a pleasure class, or brother can go rope on, and it's the same horse when you get on them every time, and that's been our goal.
Now, tell us a little.
It's been working so far.
Tell us a little bit about the structure of the sale itself. A lot of people that are listening across the United States right now, they might not know that this is a ranch-held sale. In other words, it's going to be right on the ranch where these horses were born and raised. Tell us how to get there. Tell us how the preview is going to work. Tell us all about the sale.
The preview, Zeb, you can come anytime after Labor Day in the afternoons. I'll be there, and you can drive through on my mule, or you can walk through or whatever, and look at every colt that's out there. The preview before the day of the sale is that we get the mares in early in the morning. We catch them all, and people walk down through them and look at them. Don't have no riding horses this year. Reason being, I can't ever keep them because everybody wants the babies, so I just don't ever keep them. But sale starts at 11 o'clock on that Saturday, September 7th. I don't know what else.
Well, tell us a little bit about the staff that's going to put the sale on, auctioneers and all that type of thing.
I have my auctioneer is Keith Munns. He's been a family friend, and his sale is actually the weekend before ours in Rexburg, and I go help him, and he helps us. And, he's been here for, I'd say at least 20 of them 31 years. And the staff, I got a big handout to my wife, and excuse me, my daughter. They spent many hours putting this catalog together, and there's some of them that I don't get to thank very often. I sure appreciate them.
Absolutely.
But it's usually all family and close friends there that help, and you can't do it without them.
Absolutely. Now, for those that are not familiar with where Zollinger Quarter Horse Ranch is, can you give us some real simplistic instructions how to get there?
You betcha. It's located, the physical address is 1994 South, 100 East, in the great town of Oakley, Idaho. If you're not familiar with Oakley, you go to the main stop sign in Oakley. Don't go further because you'll miss everything. It's dead-ended. Hang a left and go 4.5 miles up into the Great Basin there, and you can't miss us. There's horses everywhere.
You know, Jerry, I'm going to try like the Dickens to get up there because I think my wife let the cat out of the bag that I'm really interested in a little filly that you've got up there, and I'm going to take a look at it.
The gray one out of the Mr. Silver Pistol and Pepto's Royal Quick. She is probably the prettiest thing that there is on the place. Well,
I'll tell you what, I'm very interested, and I know a lot of people listening, they got to get up there. The thing I like about your theme that you put on this paper is your goal is to produce a horse that you, the owner, can do everything on, and that's really the truth, isn't it?
It is. It's the God's truth. That's what we strive for, and I like feedback. People's got colts that they're doing something on. I want to know whether it's good or bad. I'd rather know the bad because then I know how to fix. Not every colt out of the same cross is the same. But just like siblings, you got one good one, one mean one. So I've got plenty of those. I hope they're not listening, but anyway, you got to have that. You got to have that feedback, and I love the feedback. I love to have that phone call or somebody to message me and send a picture of their little kids riding their colts as yearlings, or even after they got them home and halter broke them, took them 5 minutes to halter break them. That means a bunch. That's more of a reward than anything in the world, I think, is to see a smile on a little kid's face.
Absolutely. Now, Jerry, final thought here this morning. What about the catalogs and information? Tell us about the catalogs first, how they can get one or find it on the website. And what about telephone numbers to call?
The telephone number to call, the best one to get a hold of is me at 670, area code 208-670-3833. And for catalogs, you can either email me, which is jerryzollinger93@gmail.com, or you can text me, or however you can get a hold of me through that number. and I will get you one either in the mail or drop one off to you if you're local here. So,
I'll tell you what, Jerry,
very simple.
you have been a friend of ours for a long, long time. One final thought, as far as all the sales, this being the 31st annual sale, production sale, how far across the United States have your Colts and your fillies gone?
All over the place. You had some in Canada, Minnesota, New York, Texas, California. They went from coast to coast. And I'm still finding some of these Lad Leo sons out there that people's kind of had enough, been done and wanting to get out of the business. And I've actually bought one from back in Minnesota here just the other day, and as last fall. And it's kind of cool to talk to them people from back there because they've got some old blood, but it's not the Leo or something like that. So they're crossing the Leo horses back over to Kings and stuff like that. And so it's kind of interesting to talk to the people that's had our horses for years, what they've done with them.
One final thought that I'd like you to talk about here this morning, Jerry, is the quarter horse itself. The quarter horse is, in my opinion, I could be wrong, but I don't think I am, the most versatile horse of anywhere on the planet. What are your thoughts?
I agree 110%. My dad was a horseman. I'm going to brag about him just for a second, but he was a horseman, and he loved every aspect of horse, from a miniature pony to an Arab to a thoroughbred to a quarter horse. His home base was always quarter horse. Because of that, he could run them on the track. He could go bust them out and rope a cow. He could go for a trail ride. They just was a horse that you could do anything in the world on, and that's kind of why we went that direction and stayed that way. You can do anything you want, jump on them, whatever. And so that's kind of how we got started in there, was my dad having the love and the aspect for the quarter horse industry.
Absolutely. Okay, now I'm going to wrap it up by having you tell everybody to come on up to Zollinger Ranch on September 7th. Give us all the particulars one more time.
I would like to personally welcome everybody up there to the ranch. It's at 1994 South, 100 East, Oakley, Idaho. For more information, you can contact Jerry at 670-3833 or check us out on Facebook. We've Zollinger Ranch Quarter Horses. It is on Facebook, and you can kind of follow. I usually post the lots on it, too, every day of a colt. So like to see everybody there.
Well, I'll tell you what, Jerry, don't you ever shortchange yourself and say that you're not good at promoting, because you are. You did a great job for this top-notch sale, Zollinger Quarter Horse Ranch production sale, September 7th at 11 a.m. up in Oakley at the ranch. My dear friend, God bless you, man. We'll talk to you later. Thank you.
You too. Thank you very much.
All right, take care. I have known Jerry for a long, long time, and also his father. And I'll tell you what, top-notch horses. I mean, it's true. Whether you're looking for arena horses, for cutting or roping, or trail horses, working cow horses, they've all got a great disposition and great conformation. Check this sale out on September 7th. Don't you miss it. Right now it's time for the weather, and then we'll take some more of your phone calls. Don't forget our weather being sponsored this hour by Phillips Oaks Goodwin Crane and Company, providing accounting services to the Mini-Cash area for well over 50 years. 50 years? My goodness sakes, yes. Tax return preparation, tax planning, business consulting, financial statement preparation, retirement planning, all of this, and really a list goes on and on as to how they can serve you, your family, and your business. I urge you to get a hold of them today. Offices in Burley and Rupert, Phillips Oaks Goodwin Crane and Company. And right now, here's Gina with the weather.
We're expecting another warm day for today, but the winds are going to be picking up, cooling us down. Here's a look at your weather forecast. Sunny skies for most of the day today. We're looking at a high of 94. Tonight, partly cloudy skies with a low of 81. For tomorrow, the winds are going to be picking up, partly sunny skies, just as high as 25-plus miles an hour, but temperatures are going to be dropping to about 81. For For tomorrow night, mostly cloudy skies with a high of 50. Then for Friday, looks like sunny skies in mid-80s. That's the Leader weather forecast for Zebeth Rain.
Thank you, Gina. Excellent job. She always, along with Scotty, they both do a wonderful job on our weather, and we appreciate it. Office locations of Phillips Oaks, Goodwin, Crane, and Company. They have an office at 1710 Overland and Burley, and another one at 620 Fifth Street in Rupert, serving you with the best of accounting services. Phillips Oaks, Goodwin, Crane, and Company. You get a hold of them today. Calls are welcome and appreciated. 436-2244, 1-866-927-4587. How many of you have traveled extensively around the United States and maybe been on the East Coast in August, or maybe been down in Atlanta, Georgia in July? And I can tell you it is probably one of the most uncomfortable weather-wise places to ever be, with the heat, the humidity, and the extremely warm temperatures. When I did the Olympics in 1996 in Atlanta, Georgia, I was there for 10 days. And with the heat, the humidity, it was just 10 of the longest days weather-wise that I've ever spent in my life. Hardly got any sleep because it was so hot at night. Now the environmentalists and others involved in telling us what we can and can't do to keep cool, or what we can and can't do to keep comfortable. When I read this morning, I about fell off my chair, because I really, not so much right here, because we do have a cooling off process, if you will, in the evening here. But back on the East Coast and the South, my goodness, they are saying that for your central air systems in your home, listen to this, not lower than 78 degrees when you're home, and then let it go up to 85 degrees inside your home when you're at work or away. But here's the kicker: not less than 82 degrees when you're in your house trying to sleep at night. Now, I don't know about y'all, but 82 degrees in my home every night. And that's what they want, the cooling systems not to go below or above. Whoo! Who are these people that they're going to dictate to us on our comfort? They're going to dictate to us on whether we can have a plastic bottle of water or go to a picnic with a plastic fork and spoon. Think about that. I don't know, maybe I'm looking at it the wrong way, but please give me a call. 82 degrees is not comfortable sleeping weather. Not at all. Give me a call, 436-2244, 1-866-927-4587. They want complete control of you, me, and our homes, and everything that we do. And 82 degrees to me when you're trying to sleep is like sleeping in a sauna. That's unbelievable. What are your thoughts? Could you, would you, or would you want to have a central air in your home at 82 degrees during the evening hours? Give me a call quickly. Let me hear about that. While I'm waiting for your call, I also want to remind you about our friends at Cameron and Siemens Insurance, and they're located right there on Highway 24 in Rupert. Oh, my goodness, you can't miss them. The best of life insurance and health insurance, and they sit down and they'll help you to make sure that you, your family, and your business are all protected. They care. They really care, and they're dedicated and responsive to your needs. So please remember this number. Give them a call. Make an appointment. 436-4424. Let's say that number again. 436-4424. Call them. Cameron and Siemens Insurance, Highway 24 in Rupert. All right, your turn. Give me a call, 436-2244, 1-866-927-4587. I have just received a word that, I feel bad about this. She's such a nice lady, that one of our lunch bunchers is in the hospital, and we certainly want to wish her the very best. Took a hard fall, and certainly hope things go better for her. Jean Stelly, thank you for this note that was sent to me. I believe, I'm trying to remember who sent the note, but Jean Stelly is in the hospital, and if you know her, be sure and send her a card and give her well wishes. She's been one of our lunch bunchers for a long time, and we certainly wish her the best. Speaking of lunch bunch, and we're going to have lunch bunch tomorrow, and it's going to be at 11:30 at Denny's restaurant, and we certainly hope that you will be there. We've got a lot of door prizes to give away from Walmart and Smith's Foods, Hanson Mortuary, Stokes Groceries, Doug Martin, Denny's. We just have a great big old time, and we certainly hope that you'll show up and eat with us and enjoy all the fun, and we're very patriotic with our prayer, our pledge, and our national anthem. I hope the lovely Linda Croft will be there to sing it tomorrow. And then, of course, all the door prizes. We just have a lot of fun. We urge you to be there at America's Diner, Denny's Restaurant, 611 North Overland in Burley, with lunch bunch tomorrow. All right, I asked for a call. And Wheels, how come you haven't provided that call? What are you doing over there?
You know, I'm just sitting over here going through my emails and...
You better not tell me you're going through your emails when you're supposed to be paying undivided attention.
No, of course. I've been watching the phone like a hawk, though.
Oh, okay. So are you going to be at Lunch Bunch tomorrow?
I am. I'm planning on it. I was seeing if my lovely mother would try to make it too.
Okay.
You know, she hasn't been for a while, but we'll see. We'll see what happens. But I know that I was planning on coming tomorrow.
Now, when you say you invited your lovely mom to Lunch Bunch, of course, you meant that you were also going to pick up the tab.
Yeah, I can do that for her. You know, she does it for me.
Oh, that was kind of a left-handed, okay, yeah, I'll do that.
Well, you know, that's the thing is my mom takes care of me, and so, you know, I do like to take care of her sometimes, you know. She deserves it.
All right, we have a call coming in, and I've got about 2 minutes left in this segment. Good morning, caller. You're on the air. Good morning to you.
Good morning, Zeb. We've got a question for you, sir. Do you know what a meerkat is?
I'm sorry, sir. Would you repeat that?
Do you know what a meerkat is?
I do not.
Okay, they're the little cats that set up on a burrow, and they pop their head around like it's on a ratchet, you know. And they're really ugly. And a relation to that is Al Sharpton.
I'm loving this already.
I want you to tell me where he gets all of his clout and he hugging and all these, contenders for a president and all this stuff, and you see him every part of the segment of the politics, and I like to know where he gets this meerkat gets his, whatever he is.
Well, you know, you bring up a really valid point, and real quick, I'm going to say this. Al Sharpton, Jesse Jackson, and others of their ilk, they rely on making their money because of trouble and racism, and heavy on the word racism. Al Sharpton, in my opinion, is one of the biggest, most horrendous, and biggest offenders of being a racist ever in this country, and if it weren't for racism, he would absolutely be out having to get a job and work for a living.
Well, do me a favor. Look up the meerkat on your computer and get a picture of this. And I know you're going to split a gut because it looks just like him sitting on this hump of dirt looking around like, he owns the world.
I will do that, and I can't tell you how much I appreciate the information. God bless you, man. Thanks.
You bet. Thank you.
Okay, sir. We're going to take a little break for about 7 minutes, come back with the Idaho Fish and Game Report. I know they're here because my dog is going crazy outside, so we'll be back in 7 minutes. Good morning, and a good morning to you. I hope you're having a wonderful Wednesday, August 21st, and we're going to have our series of guests in just a moment. We've got a studio full, and we're going to have those on with the Idaho Fishing Game momentarily. Zeb at the ranch, and I'm losing my voice today for some reason. Allergies are really becoming prominent this time of the year. How about you guys? You got hay fever and allergies? Oh, yeah. Anyway, we want to mention our major sponsor, your Magic Valley, Les Schwab Tire Centers, all 7 locations serving you with the best of all your safe driving tires, along with some of our good and great advertisers. Burley Physical Therapy and Rehabilitation at 1263 Bennett Avenue, Suite 2 in Burley, helping you get back to being you. And also our friends at Greystone Crossing Independent Senior Living at 1221 21st Street in Hayburn, seniors living the good life with friends. Want to remind you, too, about our friends over at Patterson's at 421 East Main in Burley. Don't forget Curtis and Lorena and their staff. They are your electronic needs headquarters. And don't forget, you can buy a 6.2 screen stereo for your car and receive a rear view license plate camera for free. Get in and check that out today, along with all the home theater systems, surveillance cameras, car stereos and speakers, complete sound systems, all your televisions, everything right there at Patterson's, 421 East Main in Burley. And believe me, they're open Monday through Saturday, serving you 9 to 6 at Patterson's on East Main in Burley. Well, it is that time of the month for our dear friends with the Idaho Fishing Game to come on over and say howdy, just like Minnie Pearl. And we've got more than just the regional supervisor, Craig White. We've also got the Cassia County Conservation Officer, Aaron Andruska. Good morning, gentlemen. How are you?
Doing great.
Aaron, go ahead. You can talk now. You can have your piece. Go ahead and say it.
Just want me to dive right
in?
in?
You got to hold it real close, yeah.
How's this?
Good. A little closer, like are you married?
Yeah.
Okay, you're kissing your wife. That's how you got to hold that. All right. Craig, how you been?
I've been doing great, Zeb.
What have you been doing?
You always like to try and see what I'll throw out there and get in trouble with, but we are getting ready for a commission meeting this Thursday over in Nampa, so I'll be headed that way. And in addition to that, it's starting to gear up a little bit for the hunting seasons.
You know, oh, by the way, I did. I'm going to leave those words out there. I did. You know what I did?
You put in for the second draw.
I did. It's done. Thank you for your email, because it was the only reminder that saved my life.
Well, I'm glad that you got in there. Hopefully you'll draw.
What are the chances? Like 1 out of 17 million?
Well, I think it's better than that. It's better than the lottery.
That's for sure. You know, it's hard to believe with the temperatures in the 90s and the warm winds of August and all the activities that's going on. Hunting season is open.
It is. It is interesting. Aaron has some open in his patrol area. What's open in your patrol area, Aaron?
Well, there's been an elk hunt going on, and in Unit 55, we've got there's a pronghorn hunt, controlled hunt that's open, and there's also a 25 tag deer hunt that's open currently for velvet bucks.
Okay.
Pretty highly desirable tag, but we're not quite into the big meat of the busy season yet.
Aaron, when hunting season opens this early in the year, and everybody's excited to get out in the hills, and whether it's elk or whatever the case might be, there's a lot of danger to hunting this early in the year as far as taking care of the animal once it's been harvested, right?
Yeah, it definitely changes the game. You have to be a lot more cognizant of how you're going to take care of that animal after you kill it, and that might even restrict you to what hours of the day you can hunt. So you might limit yourself to, very early morning only, or later in the evening when on the coolest parts of the day. And you also have to be really prepared to process that meat and get it cooled down quickly. Otherwise, it could definitely spoil.
Let's talk about that just for a minute. Craig, on one of the previous programs, we were talking about this, and he laid out what every hunter should take and be prepared for. Can you give us a quick synopsis of what the hunters need to know and what they need to take with them?
Sure. I mean, it's kind of similar to pronghorn hunting, that you need to be able to get that animal cool quickly. And first and foremost, you need to get the hide off of it, because that hide holds a lot of the heat in. Also, it's just kind of being cognizant of where you're hunting and what time you're hunting. I know, speaking for myself, it's easy to get so focused in on chasing that animal that you find yourself a real long ways from your pickup or wherever your method is you're going to get that animal out with, and you kind of have to be able to make a decision of, well, at this point I'm too far out to handle this animal properly before I can get it out of here.
You mentioned the hours. Touch on that. What are the legal hours of hunting?
So it's a half hour before sunrise to a half hour after sunset, as the legal hours are stated.
Okay. And so the proximity of that vehicle is really important, especially if, like you said, you're maybe as much as maybe an hour or hour and a half away from that truck.
Yeah, it's a tough call to make sometimes. Just the reality sets in that you're too far to adequately handle that animal and get it processed before the meat spoils before you can get it back. Just extra things to think about that, in a general, I guess, what we're more used to in a fall hunt where you have cooler weather on your side.
Right.
On these early hunts where the weather is still hot, it definitely adds another variable to it.
Craig, let me ask you this. Okay, so didn't hunting season basically start August 1st? Wasn't that it?
Yeah, I think definitely in this state we had some hunts open August 1st. And thing to keep in mind is we're not trying to push a lot of hunts earlier. These typically are related to areas where we've had increasing deer or elk numbers, are just kind of areas where we're seeing more and more depredation, deer and elk on crops. And so it's a way to allow the hunters to participate rather than us just go out and harvest the animals under a kill permit or a landowner to do it. We can actually use sportsmen and women to go out and harvest these. So in some cases, like we do have a few antlered hunts, though. I mean, typically these are antlerless hunts, the cow hunts or the doe hunts, but we occasionally have some bull hunts too. And it's recognition that bulls cause as much damage as the cows, and might as well give the hunters an opportunity to harvest. And a little extra care needs to be taken because depending on the year, those antlers, they're still in that velvet stage, and really, if they haven't set really well, they could start to kind of melt on you, literally.
One of the things that was brought up to me by a hunter just the other day, we were talking, I mentioned that you folks were going to be on the air this Wednesday, and the fire danger for this year is by far not over, and we're probably right in the middle of the dangerous part. What are some of the things you'd like to tell hunters that are going up in the hills right now about fires?
Well, in general, I hope they avoid having a campfire. If obviously, that's easier said than done, and obviously people go up camping in the forest and on BLM land all summer and have fires, and it's the land management's call, those land management agencies, the BLM, Forest Service, call on whether there's fire restrictions. This year we have had a much wetter spring, summer, but you are exactly right. We're starting to dry out. It's a little bit of concern. It's just more of a personal viewpoint. If you don't really need a fire, if it's all about just kind of aesthetics and the experience, I'd probably avoid a fire myself, unless I'm in a designated camp spot, one of those places where there is a fire ring and all that. And you should always have a fire ring, but certainly don't leave it burning through the day or in the night. When you go to bed, it should go out. When you wake up, if you've had one before you leave to go hunting, you should put it out. And then you should just use care out there. If you're on a motorcycle, you should have one of those spark arresters. If you're running a chainsaw, it should be one that is approved. And always carry a shovel, some extra water, to put out a fire. And if you had a fire pit and a fire extinguisher.
Absolutely. With all the hunters and the enthusiasm for hunting and being in the outdoors, especially in this great state of Idaho, what about some of the problems that is created or looks like it's being exacerbated between hunter access, availability of land, where to go hunt? Is there a problem right now with the increasing numbers?
Well, certainly it's a challenge with with increasing numbers. I mean, this state is seeing growth in people moving to Idaho, and certainly when the economy does good, throughout this nation, people travel more, and that also means they recreate and come to different states to hunt more. So there is a opportunity there to really, have some bad experiences or have really good experiences. And in Aaron's patrol area, there's some of that happening. You want to talk about that, Aaron?
Yeah, sure. So it's kind of a near and dear issue to me. And this isn't unique to this area. I just have a really good example of this issue. If you using Black Pine Mountain, for example, I don't know if you know where Black Pine is, but
I do.
For the folks that don't, it's a big mountain southeast of Burley, about 40 minutes right on the Utah border, kind of right in the middle of the Raft River Valley. And that mountain is entirely Forest Service property, so it's public land. But it's surrounded largely by private property. And our access to that mountain for hunting use or for any recreational use kind of hinges largely on landowners that are willing to let us trespass through their property to access that mountain. So one of the bigger issues that I've had in these past couple of years is that mountain has gotten really popular for the September archery hunt, and it's brought in many more hunters than have been in there before, and with that it's brought in a lot more just issues of bad behavior. So
let's define that a little bit, though. Issues of bad behavior. What are we talking about?
Sure. Well, if I can just make it as simple as possible, it's trespass issues, property damage issues. And
going from private property to public lands.
Correct. Or from public onto private.
Right.
And then also ATV issues. If I took the whole regulation book we have, and if I had to make cliff notes of the top 5 things that I deal with most in this area, ATV issues is probably on top of the list. This is
really?
the number one most common thing we run into. And example of that, if you look at any Forest Service land, they've got a road plan in place. They've designated roads and trails that you're allowed to ride ATVs on or drive vehicles on. Mm-hmm. The problem is there's a lot more trails in there besides the ones you're supposed to drive on, and those trails aren't really supposed to be there. A lot of those could be former logging roads, they could be a former fire line, and honestly most of them are what we call pirate trails, which is essentially a road where somebody decided to run their ATV up to the ridge or something. They left some ruts behind, and the next guy that comes and rides by, he sees those ruts and decides he needs to take a crack at it, and it only takes 2 or 3 vehicles and you've got another trail created that's not supposed to be there.
But Aaron, let me interrupt you right there. How would the general public, the general hunting public, how would they know and discern whether it's a good trail or an illegal trail to be on?
Yeah, that's a good question. The Forest Service does their best to keep signs on those trails that either post them open or let you know that it's a closed trail for ATV traffic.
I see.
The problem with that is, I guess you can call this one of those bad behavior things. People will tear those signs out, run them over, shoot them, knock them down as quick as they can put them up.
Are you kidding?
No, not at all. So it's really unreliable to depend on those signs because they might not stay there.
When you say that, and Craig's been on the program before and we've talked about this too, but the personality of someone, it's not just kids, is it?
No, I can't narrow it down to one population or another. It's just, it happens.
But what's the willful destruction? What's the sense that must go on in somebody's mind that they want to tear down a sign, they want to shoot it, blow it apart, whatever? I don't understand that mindset.
Well, I think some of it's just a little bit of entitlement of they brought their machine to that area and they feel like they should be able to ride it where they want to.
Really? And is that the same concept that goes with private land too?
To a degree. There's more to it than that, I think, but some of it you can just explain it as buck fever. That's where the biggest buck in the neighborhood is. That's where the hunter wants to be. But I mean, one good resource we do have, and I encourage anybody who's interested to go to the Forest Service office, either in Burley or Jerome. They'll give you maps that show you where those legal trails are.
Sure.
And they'll even give you, if you're a smartphone guy, they'll give you an app to put on your smartphone that'll put you on a map. The whole time you're out there, you don't even have to have cell phone service. You'll know where you're at on those trails or not.
Is the problem worse today than it was 3, 5, 7 years ago?
No, it just moves around. So this problem was a real big issue in Unit 56, which is the sublet area. 4 years ago, this was a really bad issue there. We were able to kind of get that controlled, and a lot of that is just educating the public.
When you say you were able to get it controlled, you can't be all places and see all people. How do you get it controlled?
It's education. It's making the public aware of what the rules are, and honestly, like you said, there's too few of us to go around, so the sportsmen and the people that are out there are almost all good folks, and they're our best eyes and ears.
Yeah.
And they've been hugely helpful with us, because if you think about it, if you're a hunter who's doing it right, you got up early, you spent your morning hunting or stalking this group of animals, there's nothing more irritating than an ATV coming up and over the ridge line where it's not supposed to be and ruining your hunt. So it's just a matter of what's fair, and people are getting a lot better about calling that stuff in and reporting it to us.
Are the fines, if you will, or the retributions back to these people tough enough so that they'll remember not to do it another time?
I think that depends on the person. In all honesty, I've dealt with a person who that was just the cost of doing business.
You're kidding.
So it's
over and over.
It just depends on the person.
Craig, what are your thoughts on that?
It is something that it only takes one or two people, bad apple, and to spoil it for the rest. And this is something we're really concerned about, especially down at Black Pine. As Aaron mentioned, there's private land surrounding it. We have, through the Access Yes program, which is something hunters contribute to, we have purchase access through some of that, but there's always the risk of losing that. What really hit home to me is we were meeting with some of these landowners in a meeting, and they shared how their fence was cut. Someone, presumably a hunter, because it was during that time of the year, had cut their fence to get to somewhere, and on private property of all things, or maybe they were coming off the mountain and they had cut the fence and left it. And cows get out, and there's a freeway not too far away in some of that country, and it's a real concern. A lot of sportsmen do it right and want to see it done right, and landowners are wanting to help. They generally like people, and there's opportunities where they're stepping up, and Aaron can talk about that in a minute.
Okay, we've got a caller with a question. When you hear a cow in my headsets, that means we have a caller with a question. Caller, go ahead, please. You're on the air.
Yes, got a question. Up there at Summit, there's a section of ground that says foot traffic only. But with a person with a handicap permit, the permission's owner, is he allowed to cross that to go hunting? Thank you.
Well, let's answer that on the air. Did you get that question, guys, as far as someone with a physical challenge sticker or whatever?
He was asking about the handicap permit for hunters, correct?
Yes.
So, to make a long answer short, the
please do.
The handicap permit does allow those permitted hunters to access some roads and trails that some of the other public normally wouldn't have, but it has to be a legal motorized road or trail.
Right, okay. But, you bring up a good point, and so does the caller. I make no bones about it. I'm on crutches, and I'm not going to be able to out-hike you or go to certain spots or climb rock ledges or whatever the case might be. But yet, I have every right, I think, to enjoy the public lands and get out and enjoy hunting and fishing in Idaho just like you or anybody else does. But sometimes it seems like the people that are physically challenged, are discriminated against, and a lot of that, I think, is due to the bad apples that have caused problems. Am I wrong?
I don't know if I can stretch that far.
No, wait a minute. You're missing my point. You get these guys on ATVs that are causing all the problems and everything, and that's going to be discriminatory in the long run against somebody that needs an ATV to hunt and fish, and pretty soon it might take only one bad apple, but like Craig said, that one bad apple might have an influence on stopping people like myself.
Sure, and that's kind of like the big picture here is we want to just educate the folks of what the rules are, because
absolutely,
if this problem continues to be a problem, we could very lose access to those places.
Absolutely. What about the landowners? I mean, my sympathy goes with the landowners on private land. Craig, you and I have talked about this in the past too. You can't blame them for being upset when fences are cut, etc.
No, absolutely. I'd be very angry. I mean, I don't have vast acreage, but I have 5 acres, and it has a little hay on it, and pheasants sometimes show up, and I'd probably be more than happy if someone said, "Hey, I just saw a rooster run across your field. Do you mind if I go pursue it?"
Sure.
If they ask. But if they just show up and they're on it and they haven't asked, or they're opening or cutting my gate to get into it, yeah, I'm angry, and I don't blame the landowners for being angry. It's their private property, and I think, and you brought up a great point, Zeb. I wanted to circle back around that. It's not about ATV users being bad. I mean, that fence being cut could have been someone on foot, someone on horse.
Sure.
And we certainly, as an agency, recognize people want to hunt different ways, whether it's from ATV or a truck or foot or horse, and we welcome all of that. It's just where things have been designated by land managers, where they've designated certain use. It's real important to follow that, and it's real important to respect private land, whether you need to get through it and you have permission to, like through an access, yes, and if you don't cross it, get permission, or seek another way to get there through public access.
When you, as the Fish and Game, are surrounded with a problem such as this, how do you address it? I mean, you want to try to keep the property owners happy. You want to make sure that the access is still available to go from point A to point B, etc., or more hunting on perhaps some of the private lands. How do you work with the property owners? What do you do?
Well, there's a variety of ways. Aaron, what are some of the ways you've found successful?
Well, most recently, I guess, again, if we're talking about black pine, I've just stayed in really good contact with those landowners, and we have each other's cell phone numbers, and they've been. I just extended the invitation to them. Anytime you guys need anything, call me. I'm here to help you out. I'm here to help everybody out. But basically, anytime they have an issue or they see something happening, they have the ability to call me, and I can come try to handle that for them.
Absolutely.
And also, just it means a lot to these guys, I think, just to have a sit down talk every now and then, just to ask them, what are the issues you're having, what can we do better to help you with that.
I would imagine, Aaron, that one of the things, and I've got a break here at the bottom of the hour, but I want to say this first, not only just going across their private lands, etc., but the garbage.
Yeah,
that's a problem too.
It's always a problem. You see that most commonly, people leaving garbage in fire rings or chucking cans out the window. But I guess a bigger pet peeve of mine is places where folks shoot on public land. I shoot a lot. It's one of my favorite hobbies. But you look at some of these places where people haul out all this garbage to shoot at for targets, and then they just leave it there.
Leave it there.
And then somebody else comes and sees it, and they bring their garbage out and shoot it and leave it there. And these are reasons why we lose access.
We're on the air with the Idaho Fish and Game, as we are at least once a month, and we certainly appreciate their being here. I want to remind everybody about a great big shout. Are you guys into model trains at all, Craig?
I never have been into model trains. Aaron?
Are you? I know a sale that you need to go to. And out in my garage, I've got a huge set of model trains from way back in 1950. They're old. So am I. There's going to be a great big Roger Polson auction. It's going to be up at Fairfield at 348 Winona Drive in Fairfield this Saturday at 11 o'clock. And I understand they're going to have an amazing 70-year collection of all the electric trains and tracks and accessories, everything. It's going to be quite a sale. And along with that, a lot of shop equipment, packing equipment, etc. And I've got pictures showing the various communities that this gentleman is built on a table, representing all the different train equipment, etc. It's going to be a heck of a sale this Saturday, the 24th at 11 o'clock up in Fairfield. Roger Paulson Auction, managed by the Bennett Boys Auction Service. Don't forget, no sale too big, no sale too small. The Bennett Boys, they sell them all. It's going to be up in Fairfield on Saturday. Right now, we got to take about a 3-minute break and send it back over to our main studio. We'll be back with more with the fishing game in just a moment.
And now, back to Zeb at the Ranch on AM 1230 KBAR. To reach Zeb, call 436-2244 or toll free 1-866-927-4587. And now, here is Zeb Bell.
Want to remind you that tomorrow is Lunch Bunch at Denny's Restaurant, 611 North Overland in Burley. We're going to be there at 11:30, and I know somebody else that's going to be there because they want to talk to you and the Lunch Bunch crew, and that's, of course, Matt and Kelly Wiggins with Greystone Crossing Independent Senior Living on Alfresco Road in Heyburn. Don't forget they're going to have an open house tomorrow from 12:30 to 4. You can go to Lunch Bunch and then go over to Greystone Crossing, find out more. It is absolutely a great place for seniors living the good life with friends at Greystone Crossing Independent Senior Living. Number to call 650-4979. That number again, 650-4979 for Greystone Crossing Independent Senior Living in Heyburn. We're on the air with the Idaho Fishing Game, and we're very fortunate to have Craig White and Aaron Andruska. Did I say the name right, Aaron? I want to make sure.
Yeah, that's right.
All right, good. Originally out of Illinois.
Originally, yep.
Yeah. You're back. See, I'm originally from Wisconsin.
Okay.
And I hated you, Illini, because you usually back in those days had better football teams than we had.
I don't ever remember a game where they won.
Illinois?
At least not when I was around.
Oh, my goodness. You guys used to have Dick Butkus and all those high-powered players way back then, and you remember Butkus, don't you?
You know, honestly, I
Aaron, all-pro linebacker, you don't remember Dick Butkus?
Nope.
I want you to stay after class. Another good friend of ours here, Craig White. Craig, you know, there's a lot of people that are doing positive things to make for better situations, and let's talk a little bit about that.
There is, and Aaron touched on it. You know, we hold landowner meetings throughout the region, and it's a chance to talk to them. We meet with sportsmen, women, and landowners anytime they want, and certainly people out there should know, sportsmen and women and landowners, if they see a violation or if they need to get a hold of a conservation officer, even on a weekend or weeknight or whatever, they can do that usually through the county dispatcher. So, you know, whatever county you're in, give them a call. And we also have the CAP hotline, the Idaho Fish and Game CAP hotline. But I wanted to mention that, you know, there's plenty of examples where landowners and the current case is we've been looking at this issue of depredation where elk and deer come down on people's crops and do damage, and how can we try and be better at preventing that. And we've had a 2-year study mostly up north in the Fairfield area going on, and you know, some of what we have learned and some of the things we're trying are directly as a result of talking to landowners and having landowners suggest, hey, have you tried this, and we're finding some success. And so that collaboration is really important. Down at Black Pine, actually, this weekend, there's some collaboration happening between a sporting group and federal partners and Idaho Fish and Game.
Yeah, there's an organization called Backcountry Hunters and Anglers, and in a nutshell, what they are, it's a sportsman group ran by sportsmen.
Are they kind of an offshoot of the Backcountry Horsemen?
No.
They're not.
No, they're their own entity. And basically, you know, there's a lot of wildlife groups out there, Ducks Unlimited, you know, Rocky Mountain Elk Foundation.
Right.
These guys, they kind of specialize in hunter access, public access to public lands. That's what they do. So they actually partnered up with the Forest Service and us to do some work in Black Pine, and they're actually going to have some volunteers in there this Saturday I know we mentioned some of those illegal trails that aren't supposed to be there, but they fund it, and they're going to supply the work to go put up some barriers.
So what you're telling me, both of you, is there's a lot more good than there is bad.
Absolutely. I don't want to paint this doom and gloom picture. I mean, by far, the group of sportsmen are good folks. Yep. It's just like Craig said. There's always one or two people that ruin it for everybody, and I don't want to paint this picture like everybody's doing something wrong, because that's not the case.
We better move along on the list, Craig, unless you have something else to say on that regard.
No, we appreciate the opportunity to talk on the air about some of the things happening out there, good and bad, and just a reminder of showing good ethics.
What about Hunter Education Field Certification Day?
So, as we get closer to the fall, our education classes, hunter education, bow hunter classes, drop off in volume as far as what we're offering, because it's totally a volunteer educators, and they get ready for hunting themselves. But we do still have some left, so you can go online and register online under the Education tab on the Idaho Fish and Game website. There's 3 courses out there. There's one in Buell, September 9th through the 14th, one in Burley, September 16th through September 28th, and one in Jerome on September 28th and 29th. And those might be some of the last opportunities. So if you got a child that hasn't had it, or you've been wanting to get into hunting, here's your opportunity. For those that have been taking the education class online, they still have to do a field day, and there's going to be 3 classes upcoming. These are one-day classes, one in Jerome, Shoshone, and Rupert. The ones in Shoshone and Rupert are on September 21st. The one in Jerome is August 24th, so that's coming up this weekend. Okay. So make sure, if you haven't done that, this is might be your last opportunity.
Wolf trapping class. Now, I want to talk about this a little bit. The wolf problem in the state of Idaho, is it at a kind of a status quo right now? Are we basically being able to work with both sides of the fence on the wolf issue? I see that we still have, a certain amount of wolves that can be harvested, wolf trapping classes. I mean, what's the status on the wolves in the state of Idaho?
Well, I've been involved with wolves for a while now, and I would say I thought it's in a lot of ways for the average sportsman has become much more manageable because of allowing hunting and trapping seasons. But I certainly recognize that for many folks it's still as polarizing as ever. While the population of wolves have probably been stabilized now for 5 or 6 years, certainly the impacts to ranchers can be just as bad, and does occur. Up there and on the grazing allotments and on private land where there's issues every year, and for an individual rancher it can be pretty hard. So we certainly are at a spot where there's a lot of opportunities for sportsmen and women to participate through hunting or trapping or both. Certainly we're very aggressive when a livestock owner has some problems as far as working with Wildlife Service to quickly address that problem. But as long as there is bears, lions, and mountain lions out there, bears, lions, and wolves out there, there will be a need to actively manage those kind of situations.
Let me ask you this, trapping, is it a bygone art, or is it something that still draws a lot of enthusiasm?
Well, it's certainly, among those who participate in it, draws a lot of enthusiasm. It's certainly a tool that, in my opinion, wise wildlife managers use and encourage. Certainly, honestly, it's on a global or national level, it has its challenge to stay out there, because there's certainly people that are disconnected from the land or have different values about the land and wildlife and how it should be used, are really they're preservationist folks that just want to keep things, behind, in my opinion, in a glass cage, so to speak. Your Yellowstones, and not allow any sustainable use. Trapping certainly has value, both from a wildlife management perspective and a cultural perspective.
Let me ask Aaron this question. Aaron, you're out in the field every day, and you're working with the general public every day. What are your thoughts about habitat, people, more people coming in, maybe even less habitat? Where are we today as compared to 5 years ago?
As far as where we're at with habitat compared to 5 years ago, I don't know if I'm the one qualified to answer that question, but I can say, just like I teach it in a hunter ed class, habitat's important. It's the number one cause of decline in wildlife in our state is loss of habitat.
Craig, maybe you could answer that. I mean, we've talked about this in the past, where the influx of people coming in and everybody wants to get out and enjoy the great Idaho outdoors, and there's been reductions of habitat and maybe the pushing back, if you will, of certain species further and further away. What is the status today? I know some conditions seem, according to what I've read and heard, they're actually better.
Yeah, and a little adage that I encourage everyone to keep in mind is that you don't do a habitat project, or habitat, first of all, doesn't stay static. It doesn't stay on one little line. And what you want to benefit, you can do a habitat project and it's going to benefit some species, but it's not going to be good for others. And so in some ways, we have situations where we have really good habitat, and some of that is done by joint cooperation between land management agencies and invested people, whether it be livestock growers or others that cooperate. Right. In other cases, we have some sagebrush steppe that has some has been roughed up really bad, and we see a lot of cheatgrass, which is an invasive weed, and it just creates a fire cycle that occurs much more frequently and is much more devastating to sagebrush steppe type species, your mule deer, your sage grouse, and other species that were kind of native to that type of environment. And so it's a mixed bag out there, and it's certainly going to be a challenge. And one of those challenges, honestly, is moving forward, especially for this region, which for the Magic Valley region, the Idaho Fish and Game region, this is the area with the most private land and most private land that's in ag. Well, that ag has been beneficial to many wildlife species that our anglers and hunters like to pursue.
Absolutely. We're going to have to take a break for about 2 minutes and have a weather forecast brought to you by Scarrows Meats, 331 North Road, Jerome. Don't forget to call Don and his crew at 324-7657 or go to their website, scarrowsmeats.com. Absolutely the most delicious meats. Marinated pork ribs, tri-tips, bacons, sausage, bratwurst. It's all there and fantastic. Get a hold of them today at 324-7657. Scarrows Meats in Jerome. And right now, here's Gina with the weather.
We're expecting another warm day for today, but the winds are going to be picking up, cooling us down. Here's a look at your weather forecast. Sunny skies for most of the day today. We're looking at a high of 94. Tonight, partly cloudy skies with a low of 81. For tomorrow, the winds are going to be picking up, partly sunny skies, just as high as 25-plus miles an hour, but temperatures are going to be dropping to about 81. For tomorrow night, mostly cloudy skies with a high of 50. Then for Friday, looks like sunny skies in mid-80s. That's at least your weather forecast for Zebba Terrain.
Thank you, Gina, and appreciate the great weather forecast. Sounds good for the next couple of days. And the weather brought to you this hour by Scarrows Meats, 331 North Road, Jerome. The number to call, 324-7657. They are changing the way we eat, one delicious bite at a time. One thing I was going to ask you about, Craig, and it's on the list, harmful algae blooms. What do you mean by that?
So, and this is actually a decision made by other agencies. DEQ, Public Health, is involved in this. But some of these reservoirs start to have those algae blooms, and they go out and kind of measure it and look at the danger levels. And if they feel there's a danger, they put out a health advisory for the for the level if it gets toxic enough. And there are a few of those that are out there, and we're just wanting people to be aware of it. Salmon Falls Creek, Mormon, Magic, and Little Canvas all have health advisories right now.
For the sportsman that's maybe unaware, what do they look for? Just, what would you say, Aaron? I mean, do they look for just a kind of a greenish-blue covering in the water? What do they look for?
I mean, this is going to be my very non-scientific answer, but if it's not clear water, I don't let my dog swim in it.
Okay. Because it is deadly to dogs, right?
It can be, yeah.
Okay. What about human beings?
Well, there are cases where they've been in it. Matter of fact, I think might have been Magic. The reason there's an advisory there is there was reports of families swimming in and coming back with, my understanding, itching and other stuff, and they went in and got checked out and then reported it, and so they went up and did some evaluations on it.
You know, I may have asked you this in the past, but I'll ask you again. If you're fishing and you catch a fish and drag it through perhaps where that algae is there a contamination of the fish itself?
So that's a great question, and it's one that we've actually struggled with to be upfront about on how to answer the public. Now, the consumption of the fish actually isn't a Idaho Fish and Game determination. It's a public health determination.
Right.
And what we get from kind of the professionals related to public health is if you are fishing in waters that have those kind of blooms, the fish you catch, go ahead and take the skin off. Don't consume the skin, take it off, and run it through cold, clear water, that type of stuff, and cook it well. And they say you can consume it.
Okay, that's the answer. I'm going to put you on the spot here, Aaron. Here's what I want you to give us in about 2 minutes. I want you to give us kind of a capsulized approach of what's a day in the life of a fish and game conservation officer like.
It depends.
Thank you very much. That was about 2 seconds. There you go. Seriously, what's a day in your operation like?
Well, yeah. Well, it truly depends. It's some days I have obligations. We spend a lot of time training, so some days I might be spending a lot of time training. Sometimes I might be helping other parts of our department, be it wildlife or fisheries. I might be helping them do one of their projects, and then some days I'm actually out in the field patrolling, trying to find sportsmen or anglers to talk to. And then I guess the busier times of year, the fall during the the hunting seasons, I'll spend a lot of time, most of my time, in fact, just responding to calls for service.
So you get up early in the morning, get in your fishing game vehicle, and do you go to designated areas like once a week or whatever?
Yeah, and that might be determined by, have we had complaints of some kind of activity happen there? Definitely I'll focus my efforts there. But there's some times where I just can't do that because the call volume's so high. I'll spend a week just responding from one call to the next.
Let me ask you this. I can see by the look on your face you really enjoy your job and you enjoy being outside, right?
Oh, yeah.
I would imagine that you probably don't like perhaps going to the county fairs and standing there all day visiting, right?
That's not bad work. I mean, that's honestly fun.
Really?
Yeah. Just like teaching hunter ed, a lot. That's like one of your opportunities to reach out to the public and have a good conversation.
That's true.
A lot of these people have never met a game
true.
warden before, and it's a good time to actually meet with them and let them know you're a real person and what you're about, and also pass along some good information.
How would you respond to that, Craig?
About our conservation officers?
Well,
and
the
game
way
wardens?
you go and you meet the public, and I think it's good to kind of be kind of a shaking hands type thing. Do people really put a face with the name?
Oh, I think it's very important, and we just got done being at the Cassia County Fair, and we'll be at the Twin Falls County Fair. What people don't realize, I went into this business, and a lot of people I do that went into this business think, I'm just going to be out with the animals. I don't have to deal with people. And you quickly learn as you go through your formal education and take summer jobs, learning that it's about outreach. We do a huge amount of outreach, and our conservation officers, game wardens, under a lot of what they do, the underlying current is outreach, whether it's outreach like right now with you, or whether it's outreach when they make a contact. Every time they contact an angler or a hunter, they are the face of the department, and they're presenting something to that hunter and angler. And hopefully, most of the time that's a good experience for both sides.
Absolutely.
Usually the only time it's a bad experience is if something illegal is happening and someone is just refusing to acknowledge that and trying to hide it, or they're a career offender where they have made it their mission in life to constantly violate fish and game rules, which are taking away opportunities from all the other hunters and anglers out there.
Got to pay some bills and tell everybody about our major sponsor, your Magic Valley Les Schwab Tire Centers. Don't forget all seven locations with all the tires for your safe driving needs. Whether it's for your car, pickup, SUV, camp trailer, horse trailer, boat trailer, they have all the tread designs, all the sizes available for you. And with that, of course, the best in brake service with highly trained brake technicians. And, of course, don't forget front-end alignment, shocks and struts and batteries, all of this. But the key word is service. They really take care of you. Don't forget to stop in and see Lane and Rupert, Dave on Blue Lakes and Twin, Mike and Buell, Mike and Jerome, the Twist family in Paul, Daniel on Pole Line in Twin Falls, and Trent on Overland in Burley. The absolute best, your Magic Valley Les Schwab Tire Centers. We always wrap up the program with a couple of slogans, but I want to say thank you very much to Craig White, Regional Supervisor, and Aaron Andruska, Conservation Officer for Cassia County. Gentlemen, thank you very much for being here again.
Thank you.
Come back next month. You're always welcome. And we always say at the end of the program, the way things were, or the way things ought to be, and the world needs more cowboys. But, of course, the number one slogan all of us should adhere to, in God we trust. See you tomorrow morning at 8:06.